Hi everyone, welcome to another express episode of Beyond Bookkeeping, brought to you by Febi.ai. As we dive into the world of unsung heroes of business, today we are picking up the decision with focus on something fundamentally yet underestimated called bookkeeping. Joining us today is the coffee queen of Pune, Miss Sagarika, who also runs Demitase Coffee Roasters. But more importantly, she is a co-founder or a co-owner of Hundakari, a 75-year-old transportation and logistics company. This is what I call a woman in power, that too in the most unorganized and difficult sector to work with. And over to you, Sagrika. Would love to hear more about. Thank you. First of all, thank you for joining us. But would love to more about
Thank
Hundakari
you.
and what
Thank
you
you for
guys do.
having me. Yes, thank you for having me. So basically, Hundikari, we're a transportation firm where we provide solely road transportation on contract basis to large firms for carrying their industrial goods, heavy machineries, and a little bit of FMCG here and there. This is a 75-year-old company started by my grandfather and my great grandfather. And so I'm like the third generation in it now, the only woman who's been a part of it. And luckily, so it's been a great journey for me. It's been very enlightening, very challenging. Which so yeah, here I am. Hopefully, I have the insights that you would require me to have for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm so looking forward to it. But I want to talk a little bit about this. So when you look at a transportation, there's a last mile, there is 3PL, there is 4PL, there is traditional trucking, there is container. Where do you folks sit in?
So my vehicle type is mainly all like flatbeds and containers. So it's the regular vehicles we have, and some of them are specialized according to the client's requirements. No last mile delivery. All vehicles. So it ranges from 7 tons to 40 tons. So they're all big vehicles.
Long hauls, short
All
hauls or
long
long,
hauls.
all long hauls.
Short hauls, yeah, mostly long hauls, all spread all across India. And
And
so it's quite fun trying to keep a track of it all.
so what is one thing or more than one or two or three things that keeps you up at night? Forget the sales part, other than sales.
No, that's definitely not the sales bit. It is more. I think it's more to do with the with when you're asset heavy. It's all about the maintenance that goes in. It's the maintenance because even when usually vehicles are running when during the night, so it is the night that is keeps us wide awake basically.
You are awake. ये रुक गया, यहाँ पर ये
यहाँ पे
खराब हो
यहाँ पे
गया,
पकड़ लिया, यहाँ
ये
पे
पकड़
ये
लिया, ये
ब्रेक डाउन
खराब
हो
हो
गया.
गया. So you
Yes,
literally are wake up the night looking at the chalak drives the
exactly.
vehicle. They're supposed to
Because
do it.
and now because we have it all on our phone and the entire GPS tracking is done on the phone
Yes.
and stuff. You're sort of like a stalker on the drivers, where they've reached, where they're going, what is happening.
Let's talk about with 400 vehicles flying every day to and fro, and you multiply the effect with terms of dealing with multiple customers.
Mhm.
How does bookkeeping looks for you there?
So on this, I would actually like to go back to what you said about transportation being a very unorganized business. And I never understood why they called it an unorganized big business, because when I used to open my dad's register, which
Yeah,
I actually have right now, which I would like to show you in a bit,
absolutely. Love to see that.
it's the bookkeeping register that he has. Everything was so organized, was so well written, properly documented, everything. And I'm just like, if this is how just on paper it looks, why would it be so unorganized when it's on ground?
Does it
But
still
even then,
exist? Does the register still exist? अभी भी काम करते register पे?
no matter how many apps I've gotten, how much technology we've gotten, it's I think the mental traditional state that they have, where no matter uh, he'll probably have the data entered in an MIS. So I have to send the MIS every day to the companies for what loading was done, what unloading was done
Of course.
to every company. That does go in, but even then, he has his register where it's the size of the register is
Oh my God.
that. And in that, he actually had a daily page where he writes the vehicle number from to what was the freight that was charged, because there are a lot of vehicles that we give to the market. What was the vehicle that was, how much freight was charged for it? It's and it's always been like that. He's been doing this for the last 25 years now.
How
And
about
even though
you?
we have the MI, so I do it, but I do it on my Excel sheet, right? Because
Yeah.
but later in the day, what happens is we need to tally his
That's a
bookkeeping
master record.
to the MIS. Yes. And that happens even though we have like tally and everything, there's a different diary. But it's all, there are like a bunch of books and registers that he has beside him, which he will always maintain. And we might make a mistake in, say, entering maybe some data into the Excel or into our MIS or the app. But this will never be wrong. This is foolproof.
Yes, I do agree. And you did mention, and obviously that's where it all starts, right? वो कहते हैं people got paid, right? And that's
Yeah.
literally okay, let's go a little more deeper into it, right? You are third generation. You have a different vision when you run a company, right? Obviously, you are let me call this way, right? I would have called yourself a challenger brand, you as an individual, because you're challenging something which is a very male dominated market, and you're still standing tall there. You're still looking at doing businesses or a business, making money, obviously. When you look at you personally getting involved in an accounting or bookkeeping, right? What is that you look at, or what is their wish list that you would have? Understood, you have a team who would manage tally, who would manage. You may have more accountants coming over because it's a large setup, right? It's not a small setup. But if you were to revisit all and say, okay, what is Sagarika's vision when it comes to bookkeeping or beyond bookkeeping? What would it look like?
I think that in that case, I would say transportation is definitely very unorganized because there are a lot of small transporters who are there who do not have that updated bookkeeping methods or things that would then, because that affects our business as well. That affects my accounts all the time because I have to sort of keep an account of them and all their transactions as well, so that I don't make any losses or things sort of get missed out or in any form. That is mainly sort of the challenge that I am facing right now in this bookkeeping and accounting. My main bookkeeping,
That,
to be
that
honest,
they are
happens.
not organized. Would you put it this way? They are not.
They're not organized mainly because they're single truck owners, small transporters, you know. So these are usually single truck owners are usually people who own the vehicles and also are driving the vehicles. So you don't expect them to keep an account of how much what they're charging for their freights or everything that happens against it.
Got it.
So that sort of affects my accounting because a lot of things I have to get behind them to get done as easy as the TDS or the taxes, whatever it is.
Yeah, of course. And they would not even know whether to deduct a TDS or not. Or if the payment has
Exactly.
gone to them, after you have deducted a TDS, they would be following up with you कि मेरे मेम से पैसे क्यों काट लिए,
Exactly. Exactly.
right? And then you file it for them and they don't file, or some of them file and some of them don't file, and they say हमारा तो पैसा
Some
चला
of
गया.
them haven't linked their PAN and others. Something as easy as that. So now I have a list of drivers who or owners who haven't linked their PAN and others, which is why I have to pay a TDS of 20% instead of paying a 1% TDS.
Wow.
So it's
Okay.
just challenges like these that
Yeah,
you
this
never
this
expected to have.
this is the real problem, right? This is not something which is a makeup problem. This is a real problem because while we are looking at, and those are, and there is an accounting or bookkeeping which has to be equivalent for all, right?
Right.
You will have, you always have enterprises like, and they would use like the SAPs or
Mm.
Oracles of the world or Microsoft Dynamics of the world. But on the other side, there are people who would a daily wager or they will earn on a daily basis, and there are solopreneurs. They would also need a bookkeeper, right? And you rightly said, right? It sometimes affect your accounting because of their inability to do a fast. Uh, let's put it this way. I would not call it a fast commerce.
Mm.
Let's put it as a fast accounting from that perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Anything else that you would want your bookkeeping to change in 2 years from now, 3 years from now? Anything that you see what is going to happen to you, or obviously keeping aside the journal that you would always have with you, but other than that, anything else that you think should be the future of bookkeeping? And I'm talking about this considering the fact that there's a lot of AI coming.
Yeah.
People are
Yeah.
talking about AI, which is affecting a lot of businesses, whether it is the way we write, the way we consume content, the way we write content, the way we communicate, the way we do whatever we are, right? And bookkeeping is also one of the areas which I'm pretty sure that will not left untouched. So
Definitely.
considering that you're going to look at marrying bookkeeping or AI or accounting for future, what?
For me, it's more for operations because my bookkeeping comes daily into the vehicle transactions that happen. It's because the MIS in itself, like I say, is the biggest form of bookkeeping for me. And what I'm trying to do right now, because earlier, yes, they maintain the journals, they maintain the register, but you can't keep doing that when they did that when there were 50 vehicles. Now there are 200, growing to 300. You can't keep maintaining a register for that. So what I'm mainly trying to do is, and I'm in sort of in process of it, and it's a bit of a challenge for me, where I'm trying to link the operations, which is to the accounts, so that there is no manual stuff there. So what is happening is, okay, the operations is maintaining their MIs and their transactions, and then according to that, the accounts is then one person is going to them and then telling them, okay, this is what is to be done, this is the billing that's to be done. These are the accounts that you need to look into. Whereas I am looking at this to be entirely connected in a system where if someone enters the data, say vehicle so and so has been loaded, and from that point, from that very point, from where the LR copy that we call it is made, the lorry receipt. Right from that point and the point that we receive the money from the client is sort of an entire loop, an entire circle, which is all less manually done and more interconnected technically.
Yeah, so you would want something to automate that, right? And
Definitely.
let's put it this way, and this is a question that brings a very interesting fact that while you provide livelihood to the drivers, you provide livelihood to the solopreneurs. What if you also provide a bookkeeping to them? Let's put it this way, that this is your white label product of accounting. This is where you use it and we manage it. Do you think that going to happen in near future, or something that you would consider that in near future if that happens?
I think definitely, yes, because see, going ahead or how beneficial it is, we definitely have to, give them knowledge about it. And that is when they'll understand. There'll be a little bit of challenges there. But I think once they are on board, it'll be easier even for big companies or companies like us who do hire, who take vehicles from them, to easily think about, renting a vehicle from them.
Yeah.
You won't have to think a lot about, oh, but if you do that, because right now we're at a phase where before I rent a truck from someone, I have to first see, or if they're like, if they'll be able to manage their accounts, if they're able to they pay their TDS, for example. They're able to do those things, only then I'll be able to give them business.
Yeah,
But
you
when
you
these things
you
are
have
more
somebody,
streamlined,
trustworthy party on the other side. It's not trustworthy, compliant. Let's put it, the word
compliant,
would be
yeah. And
compliant.
it's not as easy for them to be compliant because these single truck owners, they take some loan, they buy the vehicle, they're not able to get the loan done, and so they just leave the vehicle. So they don't think ahead of these things. So
And
you
I
can't.
get an impact that if there's a loan which has not been paid, they get a receivable. So rather than you getting the payment out, the first thing is that payment goes to the loan. So there is no visibility for
Exactly.
you whether you will have the first right of the payment or not.
Exactly. So I
Ah.
think this would definitely be beneficial in general to the market.
So Sagarika, that brings end to our Express podcast.